Hey, welcome back to the Secret Underground Lair. Today, we're going to continue on with the Outdoor Cedar End Table. Yesterday we got the legs and the skirt and the top put together. Today we're going to focus on the shelf, cut the shelves and the top into the appropriate circle, both inside and out, and hopefully get to the slats. Hope you enjoy today. Block set to 6 1/4, the angle set to 22.5 degrees. I'm just going to get the anaconda plugged in back here, and then we'll start cutting these pieces. Moving on to marking the inside curve for the skirts, just using my little grade school compass set and just following the outside arc all the way around. And that gives me a good line to trace. Not exact, but it's going to be close enough. So go to the bandsaw and cut out these 4 pieces. And then we're ready to put the dovetails in these, the dovetails in the legs, and the dovetails in the bottom for the shelf, the shelf pieces. So do all that dovetail together, but I'll cut this first. Okay, the inside curve has been cut on all these pieces. So now we're ready to put in the dovetail grooves in skirt, leg, and the edges for the shelf. So I'll go over the router table and get set up for that. Okay, back at the router table, got my pieces stacked, pull them off the pile, put them up against the fence with the face up against the fence. We're going to make one cut this way, stop at a line that I've made here, and just go through 8 cuts that way, then we'll reverse and come back on the other side. So we got the anaconda set up here. Hopefully we'll be catching a little bit more, catching a lot of dust as it comes off here. Okay, you're going to go through the same operation on this side. So I'm going to switch the anaconda over here. I'll come back when I have all this one done. Just some little router tricks to be aware of. When I'm coming through this way, the piece is coming toward you, the bit is spinning such that the piece is pushed up against the fence. Works great. When I'm coming the other way, however, the bit is spinning such that it wants to push the wood away from the fence. So I really have to press hard to keep it up against the fence. And when I come across a knot or a little bit harder piece of material, it again really wants to push. So you've got to be really careful about putting the pressure. I probably should have switched the fence to this side, but I'm a little worried about doing that because I would throw the pieces out of alignment. So hence the reason I did it the way I did it. But they're all cut, so I can now join these guys together. I'll leave the fence set up so that I can do the legs and skirts. But I'm going to put these together and get them, the glue in and drying while we do the leg skirts. All right, gluing these pieces together. So again, I'm going to glue these 4 together, glue these 4 together, and then join the 2 together this time paying attention to make sure I get them lined up right. So I'll put you on fast forward through this. It's a rather long process, but through fast forward it's a little quicker. I have a split occurring here. That's not so good. Okay. Well, that's not working out well. I'll try and dive that out. Yeah, I got a problem. My dovetail actually split. So these pieces are probably a little tight. I'm gonna have to do something about that. Okay. All right, we're back. Got that salvaged. Took the dovetail out, and I just took a little bit off. Just taking a little bit off this edge, the very edge. I did that on the belt sander. I'm going to do that with the other dovetail pieces as well. Then we'll continue driving them in. So I'll be back when I have these adjusted just a little bit. Okay, I just got pieces 3 and 4 together. So I'm going to join these to 1 and 2. And we'll carry on with these guys. Actually, let me come back. I'll join, since this is clamping, I'm going to let that sit for a little bit. So I'll do these guys first. I drove that one a little too hard. It actually had bottomed out in the hole and then split. All right, so there's our 2 halves ready to go together. I'm just going to go pick up one more of these little dovetail dowels and we'll get ready. All right, there is the making of our shelf. So I'll give that a chance to set up and dry. And in the meantime, we will start cutting the legs, the dovetail joints for the skirts and legs. First, I'm gonna go get a bite of lunch, so I'll come back after that. So back from lunch, I went ahead and made the dovetail cuts in our legs and skirts. I tried to leave a little bit more meat here than we did the last time around cutting skirts. So it's still pretty narrow, but it's a little bit better than the last time around. So hopefully we won't have any breakage there. I also spent a little bit more time on the dovetail blanks to get them better fitting in that initial cut. So I won't be quite as binding as we were before. So the next thing that I'm going to do on these legs is we're not going to leave them exactly straight. Instead, what we're going to do is wind up putting a bit of a scallop in them here. Just got a little scallop along there, and then taper them off at the end. Something like that. So that way they'll have a little bit of contour to them. So I'm just going to go figure out what that a way to consistently mark that, and we'll cut them on the bandsaw and sand them off. So I'm now marking the little scallop that I want to take off this face of the leg. And to do that, I have also I've put this little notch in here. So I know from here to the same distance, this distance is about 3.5 inches. So I'm coming up 3.5 inches here, and the distance between those two is 10 inches. So the middle is going to be here, and I'm lining up the middle. So the middle is getting lined up with this edge of my table saw track. I'm putting the table leg against the very back of the saw. And then I have my beam compass set up here. And I drilled a hole here, 26 3/8 of an inch. So I've got the other end clamped onto the table saw at that end. The center lined up against this edge. And I just put my pencil in there. And trace around. That's how I get that line. So I've done 2. I'll do 2 more. Get these 2 guys done. And then we can cut this off on the bandsaw. Okay, all the pieces are marked. We can now cut them out on the bandsaw. All right, I got the leg now set in the taper jig, and I'm just going to be taking off a little taper off the back of the leg, of each leg. This leg is in here just to provide support on the end of this clamp. So we'll cut these off and see what it looks like. All right, very happy with the result of that. Legs came out consistent. The benefits of using a jig is that you do get consistency. So a little bit of sanding to be done on these legs. I may put another notch in the bottom, kind of like I have this notch here at the top. But a little bit will depend on how that shelf sits in here. So I'm going to get the shelf situated before I do anything about notching there. So next business will be making the top and the shelf round. We're going to have the top mounted in the circle mounting jig. This is just going to, or circle cutting jig for the bandsaw. I'm going to have to slide this whole thing forward a little bit until the saw blade gets to the center of the jig. Then I'm going to stop, clamp this down, and then I can start spinning the piece. So kind of a multi-step operation here. Now you may be wondering, how did I get an octagonal piece to spin? Well, I tacked on some material underneath. Here, so I just tacked this board on and these two pieces to keep it from flopping. And then that let me put the screw through the center to spin this. So there's our top, and we just penetrated the dovetail holes. Oh, fiddle. Well, that's okay. We can do something to patch those up. Might make an interesting feature. Not sure. We'll find out some way to deal with that. So with our round top now, cut from the bandsaw, I'm over here on the router table. I'm going to cut out the inside cut. And to do that, I have this little jig. So screwed down here, I got a bearing and a bearing, and that will touch the edge of the top here. And then I'm clamping it down here when I have it set to exactly 3 inches. So I did a little test cut. Went around, and I was initially 3 1/8, so I moved it in just a little bit, and now I have a perfect 3-inch cut here. So I'm going to continue with this cut. I'm going to raise the bit, probably maybe have to do this twice, maybe 3 times to get through this material. And yeah, that'll give us a nice rounded inside edge. So I'll set you up probably on time lapse for this one. Okay, there we have our inside and outside holes cut. I like the way that went. The dovetails actually filled in really nicely inside the piece. So that's looking really good. Okay, a little bit of consideration and understanding what's going on here. So here's our table upside down, just kind of pieces laid on top of each other. The top is 15 inches in diameter. The skirt is 14 inches in diameter, and that's what I want to make the bottom shelf, 14 inches in diameter. So the bottom shelf will sit in here. It'll be set back from the legs 1/4 of an inch, just the same way the skirt is. So that means that my little cutting jig over here, that's going to change anyway. So next step will actually be to cut out the shelf on the bandsaw. So I have that set up here now, and I'm just going to cut that out. I'll come back when that's done. Same operation as the top. So with the top cut and the shelf cut, the next step that I'm going to take is to sand this down with the belt sander. Get all the surfaces, all the joints smooth and even, the top surface kind of even. Do the same with the shelf. And then I can take, I'm going to do both sides, and then I'm going to take a rabbet bit and cut a 1/2 inch trench all around here. This will be on the top surface that we can lay our slats in. So belt sanding, a little dusty work, and that may be all we get to today. But I'll let you know how the belt sander goes. All right, there's our belt sanding. That came out pretty well. I'm very happy with that. Evened up everything nicely. It is amazing to me how the wood changes so much with cleaning it up. Now, I've also used some outdoor glue and some of the cedar sawdust and made up a little paste to fill in a couple of the gaps and fill in the holes there where we were poking through with the dovetails. So we'll see if that holds. It should be okay. We'll find out after doing a little more sanding tomorrow. But I'm going to call that a video for today. Next up, we'll be doing a rabbet joint, a rabbet cut around the inside perimeter so we can put in the slats. And then cutting our top for legs. So I'm going to put 4 notches in here. Sorry, 4 notches around the table, or around that shelf, to accommodate the legs. But we'll do the rabbeting first, probably do the inserts for the slats, and then we can do that notching, and finally final sand and put it all together. I'm going to be off tomorrow doing some errands, so I probably won't have a video up tomorrow. But thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Oh, and by the way, the Wells Fargo wagon arrived. And I got some bearings. These are 3/8 inch bearings. All tying in with our sawmill automation project. Not sure if I'm going to use them. Still weighing some options. But if it comes to threaded rod, those bearings are going to be essential. Anyway, again, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.